Why are we here today? Why do so many come to these Holy Week services? Well, we come, of course, to remember. To remember that everything that Jesus did and said during his 3 years of public ministry were very important, but the events of this week, Palm Sunday to Easter Sunday, are most important of all. For some people, Christmas may seem the more important, and we argue about this all the time, which is more important. But of course, the birth of Christ is very important and is worth celebrating, absolutely. But we would have never heard of Jesus if he hadn't risen from the dead, if he hadn't gone through this week that we call Holy Week. So we come to remember. And there is much happening. There is much happening during this week, the sacred events that lead to the glory of Easter Sunday. And if you miss out on what we commemorate this week, you're missing out on the main event on which our faith is built, on which it is founded, which is what the Church calls the Paschal Mystery. For me, even when I was a little child, this week has always been an exciting time. We celebrate the triumphal entry of Christ into Jerusalem, and the Mass of the Lord's Supper, of course, the Passion reading and the veneration of the cross on Good Friday, the great Easter Vigil on Holy Saturday night, and then the glory of Easter Sunday. And if you haven't entered into or attended any of the week's events, we encourage you to do so this year, to come to the other events, not just this Sunday and next Sunday, and I know I see many familiar faces, but to come to the other ones as well. I know Holy Thursday is in the evening, so the early risers, like a lot of you might be tired by then, but you can come. 3 o'clock on Friday, and then, of course, the Easter Vigil on Saturday evening. But to make that important in the living of your faith, to remember it all and to experience it all, Easter Sunday will have so much more depth and meaning if you really partake in what is being done, what has happened, what Jesus did and said in this Holy Week. And I was thinking about this, and we do this, year in and year out, but it never seems to get stale for me. It never seems to get boring. It's just exciting always to do it. We do it just once a year, but it is so beautiful, so wondrous. This year I was thinking to myself, well, what happens when people do say, well, it's beautiful and everything, but, I don't get that much out of it, or I don't understand it as much, because you have to partake in it. You have to really be there. Look at it as if you were one of the apostles. One of the apostles. Think about that for the moment. They have been following this charismatic preacher and wonder worker for 3 years. Day and night, they've been with him. They don't know. If you're an apostle, you don't know where this is all going for sure, but you believe that he may indeed be that promised Messiah that you have been taught to expect for all of your life. He seems like the genuine article. No one has ever spoken like him. No one has dared to do the things that he does or says. No one has ever challenged the religious authorities the way he does. He seems out of this world and from another place. And here you are, one of his 12 best friends, one of his disciples. You are there at Jerusalem when he enters in triumph. The people are hailing him as king and saying, Hosanna to the highest. This is cool. You are one of the in crowd. It's really happening. The Messiah has arrived, you think. Prophecy is being fulfilled before your very eyes. Yes, the apostles saw it all and experienced it for the first time. Jesus knew what was going to happen, and yet he entered into it. He knew the suffering that was going to be involved. He knew the mockery. He knew the shame. He knew the humiliation that was going to befall him. And yet, he goes into it with eyes wide open. We are told when they bring him to the place of Golgotha, the place of the skull, they gave him wine drugged with myrrh, but he did not take it. That one little line jumped out at me this year for the first time. They offered him wine drugged with myrrh to make it easier to die on the cross. He would not take it. He knew what sacrifice meant. He knew that his sacrifice was the sacrifice of all time for the salvation of the world, and he did not want to make it any less of a sacrifice. This week, let us try to be like one of the apostles. Let us listen more attentively. Let us look more closely. Let us hear the sounds and smell perhaps the things as the apostles did. Let us see where this will all go. What will tomorrow bring? Today, he comes in triumph. What will tomorrow bring? And the next day, and the next day, and what will happen this week? Come and see. We encourage you to do that. Take your palms home this week, but remember to come back for the other days, if you can, of course. Be a part of not history, but mystery. Enter into the fullness of this week. And on Easter, you will find so much more depth and meaning of what this Paschal mystery is all about. Hosanna in the highest.